A word that comes to mind when thinking about IDW's publishing run of the Transformers comic is complicated. After nearly 20 years worth of storytelling, there's so many twists, turns, and story beats that can make your head spin. This is primarily why I haven't done any videos on the series before, simply because I'd have to reread the entire series. IDW's Transformers is beloved by many, but its complications aren't just with the story, it's also with the characters. Most every major character in the series has a troubled history or dark past. Everyone is struggling with something, except for one character, who stood out to me back when the comic was first running, and still stands out to me to this day. Hoist is a regular guy. He has never been featured as a major character of any Transformers iteration, save from Rescue Bots Academy and Armada, and that's totally fine. He has always been somewhat of a background character. After all, if we take a look at his G1 incarnation, he's not exactly the most exciting character, save from the time that he became an actor in Hollywood. You have race cars, tanks, jets, and more, and then you have Hoist.
Excuse me?
Oh, Moist. Look, we won't need you for a bit. Go have a bagel and coffee. We'll call you.
Bagel?
IDW's comic run takes this idea and makes it his best character trait, however. In a sea of complicated characters, with gray moral lines and messy backstories, Hoist is refreshingly simple. In Hoist's Spotlight comic, titled The Waiting Game, we get a glimpse into his life and how at ease he is with an uncomplicated history. While on a routine mission, Sunstreaker crash lands their ship amongst an abandoned Decepticon outpost. It's important to know that Sunstreaker crashed the ship because he was too busy admiring himself in the reflection of the ship's radar screen. Swerve, who is also aboard, does what he does best: talk. Both Sunstreaker and Swerve have major issues, and both are held up against Hoist in comparison. Swerve's need to constantly talk and hurl comedic insults at his friends fades away as he looks to Hoist. There's not much to make fun of because Hoist is regular. Hoist says, "You know why you can't get a handle on me? Because I'm an ordinary person. I'm normal. I'm just a mid-ranking maintenance engineer who takes each day as it comes. I'm not particularly chatty, handsome, or clever. But you know what? I get by. I manage. So don't dismiss me just because, unlike all of your pals on the Lost Light, my personality isn't the product of a crippling psychological disorder." Hoist hits the nail on the head perfectly. In a world full of characters who are just waiting to unload their trauma and act out, he's perfectly content with being normal. The comic tackles the idea of one facing their fears, as while the bots are stranded on this planet, they encounter a phobia shield. This device was created by other members of the Galactic Council as a way to protect their home worlds from Cybertronians, by manifesting personal fears from a target. Each Autobot faces their fears, such as Swerve's nightmare of a combiner consisting of Megatron, Overlord, Six-Shot, and Shockwave. By the end of the comic, as all the other Autobots lose consciousness, Hoist is left to deal with his own fears. His fears of isolation. Once again, Hoist's character is the most normal in the series. It's hard to personally relate to the fear of a Decepticon combiner, or of Metroplex squashing you to death. Sure, we can sympathize with these fears, but Hoist's nightmare? That we can empathize with. Everyone has felt the overwhelming weight of loneliness before. It's somewhat of a cruel twist on the reader. Hoist is a nobody. At this point in the comic, characters like Swerve and Sunstreaker are much more enjoyed, and yet the one character that we are made to truly feel for is the one that we've never noticed the entire time. He's the average blue-collar working guy who gets along just fine in life. He has no need for extensive exposition because he has none to give us. He's just a guy, and that's why I personally love him. Probably because he's the easiest to relate myself to. Hey, thanks for watching. I know what you're probably thinking when you saw this video. Wait, hold on a second. This is not a Skybound video. Don't worry, Skybound is still kind of my main focus right now. As I've caught up on some of the main characters, the comic is coming up to issue 12, which is not the end of the series, but it's kind of the end of this first story arc. And so I'm waiting for that issue to come out. That way I can do some more comprehensive videos, especially on characters like Beachcomber. He's been such a standout character. I want to make a video, but I want to see where his story goes. But Hoist, I actually would love to see if Hoist is brought into the Skybound series. Skybound has done a great job at giving depth to these characters. Not that IDW didn't, but it's just giving a lot of good depth and humanity to these characters. Part of me would love to see Hoist show up. Part of me would also not want him to show up, because his whole thing, again, is that he's just kind of simple. He's just a regular guy. I used to have a small collection of Hoist toys that I don't anymore, but I don't know, something about him just always struck a chord with me. This green and orange guy who's kind of got a bit of a pot belly, like myself personally, another area that I can relate to him with. He just always seemed so cool to me, because he was just a regular guy. He was normal, and yet he kind of always shows up here and there. You know, he's there to work. He's there to get his job done. And I really connected with his character back when the IDW comics were coming out, when, you know, his greatest fear was being alone, was being isolated. And that really struck a chord with me, as I said in the video, because all these other things like, oh, this crazy combiner and being stepped on by Metroplex and all these different things, which are obviously really cool and fun to see on the page, the one that you can relate to the most, or at least the one that I related to the most, was being alone. You know, having this isolation from other people, and you know, you got to be around people. You know, maybe you don't need to talk to them as much as Swerve talks, but just being in the presence of others is such a powerful thing. And to lose that, like Hoist lost that on that planet, was such an impactful moment. If you haven't read the comics, I would suggest reading that. Don't worry, Hoist does get saved in the next issue of the comic run. But for now, I am going to be sticking with Skybound. I'm probably going to do some characters here and there from IDW. I really don't want to do an entire video on a character that has a lot. For an example, I don't know if I could manage to do a Megatron or Optimus Prime video for IDW. That would just be a tremendous task. Maybe at some point, maybe. We shall see, maybe. But I'm going to be sticking with Skybound, and then some other areas that have really interested me in the Transformers world. But thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.